Before we begin, regular viewers of the channel may have figured out by now that my patience with time travel plots is limited. Imagine then my joy at a story called Future's End, opening with a shot of Earth in 1967. Still, someone had enough confidence in it to make it a two-parter, so let's give it a chance. A hippie is listening to music at a campfire in the mountains. We're shown him fiddling with his radio, but the focus of the shot is on his tattoo, so let's assume it's important. Tattoo hippie sees a bright light pass over him and an explosion off to one side. It's implied this is a UFO crash, but we aren't shown. Maybe that's misdirection, maybe it's a lack of visual effects budget. Skip forward 400 years to Janeway practicing space tennis in her ready room. She's interrupted first by Tuvok and then again by Chakotay, who's called a red alert because they've come across a wibbly thing. Kim tells us it's a space-time wibbly, but artificial rather than natural, before it farts out a one-man ship. Curious thing though, according to Kim, it seems to be from the Federation. We try to give them a call, but they're not picking up. What they are doing is pooping a swirly at us, which knocks out our shields before starting to disintegrate the ship. We poop yellow back, but to no effect, so Chakotay tells Tuvok to do a science thing with the deflector dish. This stops the swirly and the ship gives us a call. He says his name is Captain Braxton, and both he and his timeship are from 500 years in the future, and I'm calling bullshit on that because there's no way somebody from a society so advanced would struggle with dyeing their roots. After introducing himself, he tells them Voyager is responsible for a special time thingy that kabooms our entire solar system, and he knows this because debris from Voyager was found in it. Clearly that's not ideal, so he asks if they wouldn't mind letting him kill them a bit, which, well, it's a big ask, isn't it, and Janeway's going to need more proof than the word of some guy with a shit hairstylist. He says there's no time, which rather suggests he's not grasped the implications of his job, before pooping some more swirly at us. Tuvok does the science thing again, which knocks out Braxton's weapon and damages his ship. It also messes with the space-time wibbly and starts to suck both ships in, presumably sending us to the past, because it's not a time travel episode if you don't have a causality loop. Janeway comes to on the floor beside that daft bloody space tennis ball, so perhaps that's what the effects budget for the UFO crash got spent on. Anywho, we discovered that the space-time wibbly has brought us back to Earth. 1996 Earth specifically, placing this around the time Voyager was filmed and removing the need for period sets and costumes. How handy. Chakotay's the first to remember about Braxton and his timeship, and we have a little scan to find it. Subspace something or other suggests it crashed in Los Angeles, which means it's right next to Paramount Studios where this was filmed. How handy. Well, I suppose we should go down and find the bugger so we can figure out what this is all about. Janeway takes Chakotay, Tuvok and Paris to go for a little jaunt, leaving, once again, Kim the ensign in charge of the entire ship. For God's sake, Catherine, you must have other bridge crew shifts. I think it's fair to say this situation qualifies for a little overtime from one of the officers. Down to Earth we go, where we're given an establishing shot to show Los Angeles, and, as an aside, this guy right here is a story all on his own. Uncle Sam's psychic readings feels like it could be a teen drama about a group of friends who solve crimes through tip-offs from the spirit realm. Sadly, we don't follow him and instead greet our away party in native attire. They split up to scan for the subspace something or other in teams. Paris decides a mission to prevent damaging Earth's history is just the right time to work on his tan, because Tom Paris is a dick. But Janeway and Chakotay are at least paying attention and find the source of the signal. Unfortunately, it's not Braxton's ship. At least, not unless it has a very advanced cloaking system that makes it look like an old guy rooting through a bin. Meanwhile, in the local observatory, a nerd in a nerd room is doing nerd things. One of those things seems to be detecting unusual signals. You know, like the sort of signal a 24th century starship orbiting Earth would give out. She calls some business schmuck who apparently funds the observatory and specifically her lab. She says she's found the signal he told her to keep an eye out for, and just as well he did, as it's not the sort of thing they normally detect. Nerd wants to call NASA, but Schmuck says this might be a bit premature, seemingly hesitant to let anybody else know about this just yet. And don't try to contact the origin of the signal either, just keep collecting data, he says, then hangs up. All this talking is thirsty work, so he has a little drink, revealing a familiar tattoo. Back in the lab, Nerd chooses to completely ignore the person paying her wages and sends a message to the origin of the signal she detected, meaning Voyager. Speaking of which, the space-time wibbly screwed up some of our systems, including teleporters. We've got short-range emergency ones, but we'll never use those as it'd require getting close, and we obviously can't do that, so I don't know why we even mentioned it. Oh, and we appear to be getting a signal from the planet. Kim seems a bit miffed at being spotted, but at least has the good sense to not respond. Instead, he calls Janeway and lets her know shit's gone south, and someone detected the ship, then tried to say hi. He also tells them that the signal origin is near them, but as the teleporter is currently stuffed, they need to sort their own transport. Tuvok and Paris go off to the observatory, while Janeway and Chakotay follow the guy that's probably Braxton, who seems to be putting up signs warning about the end of the world. They tail him to an alley before he notices them. After some threats, he recognizes who they are and blames them for what happened. Then he launches into a rambling rant about how he was wrong and it's actually his ship that causes the time kaboom that destroys Earth, which only happens because someone nicks it, which only happens because Voyager sent him back here, which only happens because he was sent to stop the time kaboom, which only happens because blah blah causality loop bollocks. We've heard it all before. I suppose there's a certain irony that the plot element we keep seeing in so many stories is about time being cyclical. It might even be funny if it wasn't so fucking boring. Chakotay asks Braxton who has his ship, and we discover that yes, it was indeed nicked by Tattoo Hippie. Braxton emergency teleported out before the crash, but Tattoo Hippie found the ship before him. He's been tracking the guy since, but hasn't been able to do anything to stop him. Perhaps we can help get it back so we can all scarper, but Braxton nixes the idea. As Voyager debris was found in the time wibbly kaboom, combining the two ships in any way could be the cause of the catastrophe he was sent to prevent. Any further discussion is interrupted by the arrival of the Popo, who seem to know Braxton and refer to him as the Captain, suggesting they've heard his story about being from the future. There have been some complaints about his end-of-the-world signs, so they came to have a word. Braxton tries to make Janeway and Chakotay back him up about being a time-travelling future man, but they can see this would probably not be the smart course of action. He calls them traitors, then legs it, with the coppers in pursuit. That leaves Janeway and Chakotay free to track down Tattoo Hippie and try to get the ship back. Speaking of which, he's in a skyscraper, and, as an aside, if you're going to name your company ChronoWorks, then you might as well just go the whole hog and call it I Stole All of This Technology from the Future Incorporated. He's on the phone to a professor, denying that they've found aliens. It seems Nerd didn't entirely keep it to herself, and now Tattoo Hippie is having to shut down rumours. Unimpressed with this turn of events, he sends his henchmen to get the data from Nerd and remove her in a manner that suggests she will not require a reference for her new job. Tattoo Hippie also makes a veiled reference to the weapon when talking about people coming for him, though he doesn't mention the crew of Voyager specifically, so could still be assuming the signal is from a colleague of Braxton. Either way, his intentions are likely not the use of diplomacy. Tuvok and Paris arrive at the observatory in a truck they've taken on a test drive from a dealership, which was pretty trusting of the dealership without any ID. They find the Nerd room, but the Nerd herself is not in it, so they start having a poke, which is obviously her cue to interrupt them. She tries to throw them out, but Paris introduces himself and attempts to make conversation. Despite the initial cold welcome, he actually starts to get somewhere, until he's shut down by Tuvok the cockblock. It's probably just as well. They'd have never been able to get past the age difference. Tuvok and Paris depart, and Nerd gets back to work, but not for long, as it looks like they've stuffed her computer. They're making a hasty exit, and as Tuvok mentions that he grabbed the data then wiped it, Nerd bolts out of the door and runs after them. She reaches the truck just as Paris notices Tattoo Hippie's henchman. He shouts a warning as the henchman poops yellow at them, but it seems this gun poops super yellow as it disintegrates the truck. Tuvok poops back and shoots the weapon out of his hand as we all leg it to Nerd's van and Scarpa, leaving henchman to pull a silly face. Back in I Stole All This Technology from the Future Incorporated, Chakotay and Janeway are doing a bit of the old breaking and entering. Janeway uses her tricorder to access Tattoo Hippie's PC and have a poke around, then tells Kim on the ship to link up and get ready to make a copy of everything. She finds details on Braxton's timeship and discovers it's in the next room behind a force field. Slight problem, Tattoo Hippie and his henchmen interrupt them. Janeway tries to reason with him, telling him of the disaster he causes if he tries to launch the ship. He might even have listened if she hadn't used this same breath to tell Kim to start the transfer of Tattoo Hippie's data. Tattoo Hippie threatens to kill Janeway unless Kim stops, so he does. Kim wants to teleport Janeway and Chakotay out of there, but the system is still down, so after a little browbeating from B'Elanna, he orders the ship to enter the atmosphere so they can use the short-range emergency teleport that was mentioned earlier for no reason. They grab Janeway just as she's in the middle of threatening to destroy the entire building, and Chakotay a few seconds later. Rather than demote him for disobeying his orders to maintain position, Janeway compliments Kim's timing and says it's not bad for his first time in the captain's chair. As an aside, this isn't true. He was given control of the bridge in Season 1, Episode 13, Cathexis. I remember because I thought it was bullshit then, too. Anyway, Voyager's flying over LA so they can try to teleport the time ship up. Henchman tells Tattoo Hippie that they're trying to grab it, and he does some computer bobbins to stop them. Looks like his systems are souped up with the timeship tech, as he uses it to override Voyager's computer and start nicking their data via the teleporter signal, which, yeah, okay then, whatever. The only way to stop it is by cancelling the teleport attempt, so they do, but not before he manages to steal 20% of their files. That's bad enough on its own, but Kez reports the Doctor has disappeared, and it seems he's a part of that 20%, appearing in Tattoo Hippie's office. This makes precisely zero sense, of course. His office has no reason to feature holo-emitters, and I see no logical purpose for them on a one-seater ship, so I don't see how he could have got them anyway. Also, we've previously established in Season 1, Episode 7, Eye of the Needle, that the Doctor's program can't be copied or moved because it's integrated into sick-based systems. Let's ignore all that though, because we've got other things to worry about. Neelix, who's been tasked with reviewing local transmissions by Kim, calls to tell them that they have a slight problem. It seems Voyager was spotted by someone with a camera and is all over the news. So much for not affecting the timeline. End of Part 1.